Hello and welcome. If you're here, it's because you've been following the story, the headlines, the noise, the endless chatter about what Meghan Sussex is doing or not doing, or supposedly failing at. But today, we're going to step back from the noise and look at something the tabloids conveniently overlooked: the quiet, methodical, and brilliantly executed business strategy that has been unfolding in plain sight for the past 18 months. So settle in, because this is the story of how Meghan Sussex outmaneuvered an entire industry while they were busy looking the other way. In September 2024, while headlines churned with speculation about Meghan Sussex's next move, while critics sharpened their pens and commentators dissected every Instagram post, something quietly extraordinary happened in the offices of the Australian government's Intellectual Property Department. 12 trademark applications landed, submitted by the Duchess of Sussex's business team. They covered everything from candles and skincare to gardening tools, dog treats, clothing, books, television, event planning, home decor, jewelry, stationery, food products, and hospitality services. 12 categories, one country, 18 months before the world would catch on. The story of Meghan Sussex's ascent as a global entrepreneur is not the story of someone scrambling for relevance. It is not the tale of a reality star desperately pivoting as opportunities evaporate. It is, instead, a masterclass in strategic patience, legal infrastructure, and the kind of long-term thinking that separates fleeting celebrity brands from enduring business empires. When news of the Australian trademarks finally broke in March 2026, the response from Meghan's team was telling. A spokesperson noted that the applications were filed in 2024, which predated the current work on Australia, and therefore they were not aware of them. On the surface, this might appear to be disorganization. In reality, it reveals something far more significant. Meghan is running a business large enough that its legal infrastructure and its public relations infrastructure operate on completely separate tracks. The trademark filings happened at a corporate level, executed by the legal and business affairs team responsible for protecting the brand globally. This team works independently of the communications and scheduling side that manages trip announcements and tour planning. That is not chaos. That is sophistication. Consider what it means to file for trademarks in 12 categories across an international market. You do not do this because you are failing. You do this because you are planning, because you are thinking several moves ahead, because you understand at a fundamental level that intellectual property protection is the foundation of any serious consumer brand expansion, and you need it in place before you arrive, not after. The Australian filings, submitted in September 2024 and granted by June 2025, represent a beachhead in what appears to be a carefully orchestrated global expansion strategy. And they came at a moment when the public narrative about Meghan could not have been more different from the reality of her business operations. To understand the sophistication of the Australian move, one must look back at the evolution of Meghan's brand architecture. The journey began with American Riviera Orchard, a name that spoke to her Montecito roots and the California lifestyle she had embraced. The initial trademark application, filed in 2022, was ambitious. It sought protection for gardening tools, decorative home items, string lights, lanterns, candles, diffusers, stationery, giftware, cookware, pet accessories, pillows, bedding, yoga mats, tea, coffee, and spices. But the path to brand building is rarely linear. The United States Patent and Trademark Office pushed back, determining that American Riviera was primarily geographically descriptive, a common way to refer to the California coastline. There were also issues with overly broad identifications of goods and complications with international classification systems. Rather than fight losing battles, Meghan did something that separates successful entrepreneurs from those who cling to sinking ships. She adapted. The brand was rebranded as AsEver, a name that speaks to continuity, authenticity, and timelessness. In a video announcing the change, Meghan explained that the original name limited her to things that were just manufactured and grown in this area. AsEver, by contrast, had no such geographic constraints. The pivot was not an admission of failure, it was evidence of strategic flexibility. And importantly, it came with lessons that would inform the global trademark strategy to come. When the AsEver applications were filed in Australia in September 2024, they reflected not just ambition, but experience. A significant piece of the AsEver story that has been frequently mischaracterized is the relationship with Netflix. The streaming giant came on as an equity partner when AsEver launched in 2025, coinciding with the release of With Love, Meghan. The arrangement was significant. Netflix was not just as my partner in the show, but as my partner in my business, which was huge, Meghan reflected. For a year, the partnership flourished. The lifestyle program ran for 2 seasons, including a holiday special, offering viewers an intimate look into Meghan's life in Montecito alongside Prince Harry and their children, Archie and Lilibet. The show was designed not merely as entertainment, but as a powerful marketing vehicle for the brand. Then, in early 2026, came the announcement that Netflix and AsEver were parting ways. To critics, this was a death knell. To those paying attention to the long game, it was something else entirely. AsEver is grateful for Netflix's partnership through launch and our first year, a spokesperson said in a statement. We have experienced meaningful and rapid growth, and AsEver is now ready to stand on its own. We have an exciting year ahead and can't wait to share more. Netflix's own statement confirmed the amicable nature of the split. As it was always intended, Meghan will continue growing the brand and take it into its next chapter independently. Read that again. As it was always intended. This was not a cancellation, it was a graduation. The partnership was structured from the outset to provide launch momentum, after which the brand would become self-sustaining. That is not desperation, that is disciplined execution of a long-term business plan. Data supports the wisdom of this approach. Web traffic analysis from SimilarWeb shows that a significant amount of AsEver's online footfall is international, with 9% coming from Australia in February 2026, compared to 39% from the United States, around 12% from Britain, and 10% from Canada. The brand has already achieved meaningful international traction without a physical presence in most of these markets. Building a global brand is not for the faint of heart, and the legal challenges facing AsEver demonstrate just how seriously Meghan's team takes the process. The trademark applications in the United States encountered obstacles, including an existing registration for AsEver, owned by a Chinese fast fashion brand. Meghan's team navigated this by removing clothing-related goods from the application. In Europe, the logo, featuring 2 hummingbirds facing a palm tree, drew comparisons to the coat of arms of Porreres, a small town in Mallorca. Rather than escalating into legal conflict, the mayor of Porreres took a diplomatic approach, inviting Meghan to visit. The situation remains unresolved, but it highlights the complexity of international trademark protection and the need for careful due diligence. The Australian applications, now approved and in the opposition period, are similarly ambitious. They cover an extraordinary range of goods and services, from meditation cushions and wallpaper to matchboxes, decorative sand, trellises, and hospitality services. Legal analysts have noted that the sheer breadth of the applications suggests big plans for what it may sell. This is where the sophistication of the operation becomes evident. The applications were filed by 2022 Trademarks LLC, a corporate entity that holds the intellectual property rights. This structure provides flexibility and protects the brand's assets regardless of how the operating business evolves. It also creates a clean separation between the brand's legal foundation and its day-to-day operations. Legal experts have pointed out that the trademark registrations to remain valid in Australia, the brand must demonstrate genuine use in the Australian market within 3 years. This cannot be satisfied by U.S. sales alone. It requires a website or social media presence targeted at Australia, marketing materials received in the jurisdiction, and evidence of goods and services provided to Australian consumers. The upcoming trip, with its $3,000 per ticket Sydney retreat appearance, begins to satisfy exactly these requirements. No discussion of Meghan's business acumen would be complete without acknowledging the partnership that makes it all possible. Prince Harry has been consistently supportive of his wife's entrepreneurial ambitions, and their upcoming trip to Australia, their first since October 2018, will be a joint endeavor, combining business, philanthropy, and personal connection. Harry's own journey since stepping back from royal duties has been marked by a commitment to causes he cares deeply about: veterans' welfare, mental health, and conservation. The couple's Arkwell Foundation continues to do meaningful work in these areas, and the Australian trip is expected to include engagements with the armed forces and veterans community, reflecting Harry's long-standing connections. What is often overlooked in media coverage is how complementary Harry and Meghan's public roles have become. While Meghan builds AsEver, Harry continues to develop his own projects, including the documentary series Heart of Invictus and his memoir, Spare. They are not competing for the spotlight. They are building parallel enterprises that reinforce each other. The Australian visit, scheduled for mid-April 2026, has been described by a spokesperson as encompassing private, business, and philanthropic engagements. This three-pronged approach, personal, commercial, and charitable, has become the Sussex model, allowing them to maintain authenticity while pursuing their professional goals. A significant component of the Australian strategy involves Meghan's appearance at the Her Best Life retreat in Sydney, an event organized by Besties, a women's lifestyle company. Ticket prices have attracted attention. VIP packages cost up to 3,199 Australian dollars, approximately $2,285, offering front row seats in a group table photo with the Duchess. Critics have seized on the commercial nature of the appearance, but this misses the point. High-profile figures monetizing their visibility through speaking engagements and curated events is standard practice in the entertainment and lifestyle industries. What makes Meghan's approach different is the integration of these appearances into a broader brand strategy. The retreat will feature a live conversation with Meghan, interviewed by Gemma O'Neill, host of the Her Best Life podcast. This format allows for organic discussion of AsEver's values and products without feeling like a sales pitch. Brand expert Nick Eade told Newsweek, "That's a great opportunity for her to talk to a captive audience all about her brand, her product, whether it's going to expand, etc." The strategy leverages a fundamental truth about consumer behavior. People buy into brands because they like the person behind them. They buy into them because they're aspirational, Eade explained. They buy into them because they feel that they want a little bit of their life when they're waking up in the morning and drinking their tea or whatever they're doing, or wearing their clothes or spraying their fragrance. Stepping back, what emerges from the details of Meghan's trademark strategy, her brand evolution, and her partnership with Harry is a portrait of serious business ambition, executed with patience and professionalism. The Australian trademarks were filed in September 2024, 18 months before the trip that would bring them to public attention. They were approved in June 2025, 9 months before the trip. The Netflix partnership was structured from the outset to transition the brand to independence. The AsEver brand itself emerged from the lessons learned during the American Riviera orchard process. This is not the timeline of someone reacting to circumstances. It is the timeline of someone executing a plan. What makes the achievement more remarkable is the environment in which it has been accomplished. Meghan has operated under a level of scrutiny that would crush most entrepreneurs. Every business decision has been analyzed, criticized, and often misrepresented. Yet she has continued to build. The spokesperson's comment about the trademark filings happening at a corporate level, executed by the legal and business affairs team, is instructive. Meghan has built an organization that can operate independently of the daily news cycle. While the world was busy making noise about her jam and her Netflix show, her legal team was quietly securing intellectual property rights on another continent. Brand expert Nick Eade has described the upcoming Australia visit as the first clear chance to test whether her AsEver business can go global following its split from Netflix. He's right, but perhaps not in the way critics imagine. The test is not whether Meghan can sell products in Australia. The trademarks are already in place, providing legal protection for whatever commercial activities she chooses to pursue. The test is whether the infrastructure she has built can support the kind of international expansion that the trademark filings envision. If the Australian market responds positively and the pre-existing web traffic from Australia suggests there is already interest, it will validate the strategy of building the legal foundation first and then activating the market. If the response is muted, the trademarks provide a low-risk way to test and learn without committing significant resources. Either outcome is a win. That is what smart planning looks like. The narrative that has been constructed around Meghan Sussex is one of failure, desperation, and fading relevance. It is a narrative that requires ignoring inconvenient facts like 12 trademark applications quietly filed and granted, a brand transition executed with strategic clarity, and a Netflix partnership structured for independence rather than dependency. What Meghan has demonstrated is that she is not building a celebrity brand that rises and falls with media attention. She is building a business with real infrastructure, real intellectual property, and real international ambitions. The trademarks in Australia are not a cash grab. They are the foundation of something larger. The legal hurdles, the opposition period in Australia, the unresolved situation with the Spanish town of Pereiras, and the ongoing management of the U.S. trademark portfolio are not signs of failure. They are the normal challenges of international brand building handled by professionals who understand the process. Harry and Meghan have been building something together since they stepped back from royal duties. The narrative has always been about what they left behind. The reality is about what they are creating, and what they are creating, if you look at the evidence in the public record, is something that was always intended to be global. The trademarks were filed in September 2024. The trip is April 2026. The Netflix partnership ended exactly as planned. The brand is ready to stand on its own. That is not the timeline of a woman whose moment has passed. That is the timeline of a woman whose moment is just beginning. So, the next time you see a headline suggesting Meghan is scrambling, remember this. She has been playing chess while the world has been playing checkers. And if the Australian trademarks are any indication, she has been winning for a very long time. Thank you for watching, and as ever, stay curious.